Welcome back to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. Today, we are going to be talking about the 49ers being Super Bowl contenders. Before we get into it, I just want to say that tomorrow we'll be back to the longer podcast format. Aiden will be back on, and we're going to do some like a quick 49ers Seahawks collaboration with another podcast. So we'll have those episodes coming out later this week. But for today, just want to talk about something really quickly that has been discussed not only by the 49ers fan base, but other fan bases. But even some 49er fans have been saying that they don't think the 49ers are Super Bowl contenders, which to me is really confusing. Even if, like, not just being a 49ers fan, but if you're just a fan of the NFL, you can tell this is a very talented roster and a Super Bowl contending roster. I know that, there's been some questions with Jimmy G at quarterback, but if you want to look into how Kyle Shanahan's offenses in San Francisco have performed, uh, they're like all right with Nick Mullins at quarterback, who this year goes into preseason, looks like maybe one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. So I get that Jimmy's not the best quarterback in the world, but if he's your starting quarterback, he's won 75% of his games in San Francisco. So I'm kind of confused of why people don't think the 49ers are going to win. Not only that, but their schedule isn't too bad. Yes, they play in a difficult division, but the 49ers have, they're definitely a better team than the Cardinals. Definitely have a better roster than the Seahawks right now. I get that Russell Wilson's there, so those games are going to, those are going to be tight games. But the 49ers, and I think the Rams are the top dog in the division right now. But the 49ers have played the Rams really well, so there's reason to believe that they will be at the very least competitive, if not, beating the Rams. I think they play the Rams very, very well. But this offense is going to be great. I'm a little bit confused by why people don't think that's going to be the case. We've already seen that they're going to use Trey Lance in the red zone at the very least if he doesn't become the starter partway through the season. But with Jimmy G, this is the best offense he's had around him for sure. You had Alex Mack, you locked down Trent Williams. And the only question mark on the offensive line right now is right guard. So you have a pretty solid right offensive line. But Daniel Brunskill is going to be that guy. He was that guy last year. I think he's going to get help. Mike McGlinchey gained some weight, so I would expect him to be better this year. On the defense, you're getting back Nick Bosa, and their defense was pretty good last year. They just couldn't close out games, and a lot of that came down to the turnovers. Well, that's because Nick Mullins was, one of the worst quarterbacks when it really came to like crunch time. So this idea that the 49ers aren't Super Bowl contenders is very, very confusing. They're one of the deepest rosters in the league. And there's some other rosters such as the Buccaneers or the Browns that you could talk about are in that discussion as well as, one of the deepest rosters in the league. But let's just look at, the defensive line, which is what their team is built upon. And you have Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, D Ford, Nick Bosa, DJ Jones, Kevin Givens, Samson Ebukam. Jordan Willis is suspended. Maurice Hurst is on IR. Zach Kerr looked really good in preseason. Arden Key looked amazing. These are so many NFL players, and on a lot of teams, these guys would be competing for starting roles, and they're third stringers on the 49ers. So, I would expect the 49ers to have a great season as long as, they don't catch the injury bug like they did last year, because that's something, and that's one of the biggest reasons why, if you're looking at Jimmy G, one of the biggest issues with the 49ers when he's been at the helm is that he's went down. Well, if he goes down, you have Trey Lance, who, trust me, Trey Lance can do a better job than Nick Mullins did in Kyle Shanahan's offense, even as a rookie, even if he's not completely polished. He will, they're going to put up a lot more points. He's going to throw a lot less interceptions, a lot less interceptable balls as well. And also, the 49ers run game this year is going to be back to, I think, even better than 2019 levels. You have Trent Williams here. George Kittle was not healthy last year. If he's healthy, Trent Williams is healthy. Mike McGlinchey is back, at a playing weight because he was out of shape last year. Not out of shape, but he was just at the wrong weight. I think a lot of that was because of the COVID offseason. A few guys around the league had that happen to them, especially tackles and guards and whatnot. But I'm expecting this team to be very, very good, and any 49er fan, any NFL fan should clearly be able to see that this is a team that is going to be competing in the NFC to make it to the Super Bowl and potentially, win the Super Bowl. Even though Trey Lance might, even if he doesn't play this year, even if it's Jimmy, if it's Trey Lance, this roster is that good and that deep that they're going to have the chance to make a deep playoff run. Does that mean they're going to win the Super Bowl? No, it does not mean that, but it means that they're going to be one of those teams, or they should be considered one of those teams at least early on in the year, with all the talent that they have. So that's going to do it for today. Just a quick, little thing. I just had seen that and I was really confused because, just look at this roster top to bottom and tell me that. Like, that you got to be able to analyze rosters and see that stuff, because that's just, they're really, really deep. So that's going to do it for today. So thank you, everyone, for listening. If you do disagree, I will hear you out. I'll hear what you have to say about it. So comment that if you agree and you're kind of wondering the same things. Let me know about that as well. But that is going to do it for today. So thank you all for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow with some 49ers content.